On like the last day or so, this lady comes up and she goes, I hate to bother you, but would you be interested in meeting with the head of the behavioral science unit of the FBI? Right? Which, if you're really into this stuff, that is like the Harvard Business School. I mean,
Right.
hypnotists think they're good. NLPers think they're good. Psychologists, coaches. This is like Cambridge, man. This is like the top. So I said, just tell me who I have to kill to get the appointment, right?
Yeah.
So I got to go in and meet with the head of the behavioral science unit. It was kind of cool. That's all I said. I came in, I didn't have no preconceived notions, wasn't trying to pitch nothing. I'm like, I'll see what they want, right? So I came in, sat down, started talking. What was interesting, though, is right as we started, he knew everything about me. And it's like, I think he had even a file. It's like, then I thought, wait a minute, it's the freaking FBI.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the podcast, the NLP Unplugged podcast number 71. And we are in for a treat today because we have Dr. Will Horton joining us all the way from Florida, I believe you are in. And last time you were on the podcast, it was a bit of a firecracker episode. Very much looking forward to this episode and diving into a little bit about where you've been for the last 12 months and also the work you've been doing with the FBI and the new book about how you've used NLP with the FBI in negotiation and like hostage situations as well. So welcome to the podcast. But before I begin, my good friend and business partner, Callum, is actually away. He's delivering a 3-day training that starts today, and he's delivering that in Sydney. So he sends his apologies. And let's get started.
Gotta make their money. Gotta go
make the money. Will, welcome back to the Unplugged podcast. I've got a little bio here about you, just in case anyone who's been in the NLP industry for a longer period of time will know you. Absolutely, your reputation and your energy precedes you. For those who are relatively new to the industry, Will is an internationally respected NLP trainer and clinical hypnotherapist, known for integrating deep therapeutic psychology with practical change methodologies. You have decades of experience training practitioners, master practitioners, and trainers around the world, and you have become recognized for your depth of understanding in identity-level transformation, unconscious change work, and ethical practice. You bridge classic NLP, hypnosis, and psychotherapy, helping everyone you work with move towards transformational mastery. So there's the intro. Welcome back.
Cool. Glad to be here.
You bet. Now, last time you joined us, one thing that Cal and I were really, really intrigued about was the work you did with the FBI. I know anyone who is trained in NLP or is thinking about learning NLP would love to know how that came about and what on earth you did with the FBI.
Okay. Well, glad to do that. Well, like a lot of things, it happened by happenstance, right? I happened to be doing a basic NLP practitioner. I'm a big person on the basics, right? It's like martial arts.
Yeah.
For many years, I did martial arts like a lot of people, but a front kick, a side kick, a back kick, how you punch, all that, right? Too many people want to jump in and a spinning back kick or something fancy. You got to know the basics. So I'm always doing basics. Well, I was in Washington, D.C. area, in Alexandria, Virginia, teaching a class on basic hypnosis to people who have taken or basic NLP for hypnotists. So it was fun. Everybody's having fun. And right toward the end of the training, a couple of ladies that worked there, I always have people introduce themselves. They just said they work for the government. I mean, I'm in DC. Yeah. It'd be like being in parts of wherever the capital is. What's the capital of Australia?
Sydney. No, it's Canberra.
Canberra. Yeah, it's like everybody works for the government.
Yeah, they do. Everyone. Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey, this is Connor and Callum from Connekt Coaching. Hope you are enjoying the Unplugged podcast. Nothing lights us up more than seeing businesses thrive, especially in uncertain times, we have 32 combined years of doing nothing but mentoring and training businesses from around the globe in order to increase their revenue and thrive in uncertain times. So what we would like to do is share with you a little bit about what we've discovered over the last 32 years.
We've created this amazing business model called the Forever Business Model, and we want to give it to you for free. All you need to do is jump down into the description below. There's a link there called Steal Our Forever Business Model. Click on the link. There's a 9-minute video that you can watch where we unpack everything you need to know to implement it in your business right away.
So it's like, okay, cool. So I didn't think anything of it. We're having fun. On like the last day or so, this lady comes up and she goes, I hate to bother you, but would you be interested in meeting with the head of the behavioral science unit of the FBI? Right? Which, if you're really into this stuff, that is like the Harvard Business School. Hypnotists think they're good. NLPers think they're good. Psychologists, coaches. This is like Cambridge, man. This is like the top. So I said, just tell me who I have to kill to get the appointment, right?
Yeah.
So I got to go in and meet with the head of the behavioral science unit. And it was kind of cool. That's all I said. I came in, I did have no preconceived notions, wasn't trying to pitch nothing. I'm like, I'll see what they want, right? So I came in, sat down, started talking. What was interesting, though, is right as we started, he knew everything about me. And it's like, I think he had even a file. It's like, then I thought, wait a minute, it's the freaking FBI. I'm pretty sure, and I'd been in the Army, so I'm in every database. But anyway, it was just a pleasant conversation. And he was asking me about this and the, how I apply NLP, what did I think of it, this and that, because I was also already a licensed clinical psychologist. I think that and teaching a couple of his people that worked for him, that's what got me in the door. It's always, and so we're sitting there talking. And then at the end, he makes the casual comment. He goes, hey, would you be interested in sitting through like the hostage negotiation course, they were changing it to crisis. I'm like, yeah. And then he goes, it's a 2 or 3 week course. We can't pay you, but you could stay at the barracks if you want in Quantico. And I'm like, sure. When is it? And he told me the next couple. And of course, in the back of my mind, I'm like salivating. Of course, I'm going to go do this, right?
You're keeping
so, and I go, sure, I'd love to do it. And he goes, the only thing we ask is at the end, we want to like debrief because you're not a cop, you're not a police psychologist, you're not, in our world.
Yeah.
And think about the brilliance of that. They're bringing in someone from a different viewpoint. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, cool. So I got to go to the training. I went. I think they were surprised when I took them up on it, right? So 2 things happened when I get there. I'm the only guy in the room that wasn't somehow a badged officer. There was a lot of FBI agents, CIA, people from Australia. FBI trains more people. And I was the only, as I said, I'm the only guy that didn't have to check a weapon, right? So it was kind of fun and everybody's there. And I had no preconceived notions. So when I went through the training, it opened my eyes in different ways. Like, what are they doing different than what we're doing? Right. And, and at the end, I went through the whole training. I was, just a participant and, found a lot of cool things. Like one as a mental health professional, I could never be a true negotiator. Right. Because one of the things a negotiator may do is say, Conor, okay, we got your pizza and we need you to get up, walk over and open the door. And there's going to be a gunshot, right? Because they got the sniper on. As a licensed professional, I'm pretty sure I would lose my license.
Yeah. Okay.
The Army guy in me said, yeah, no problem. We could do that. But, so it was a lot of fun. And I gave him some feedback on like what we do with, the rapport skills. I was playing with the magic word, what I call magic words, waking hypnosis. And I was talking about that, which they incorporated and they were already pretty good at it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I got to help out a little bit a few times. Then they let me come back and hang around the profilers. Right. And I'll be honest with you, this is also right before September 11th, 2001. So that's how long ago it was. Because now I don't think anyone without the proper credentials could get in. The other question I asked, I'll be honest, I've been around NLP forever, since the 80s, and I'm like talking to everybody, all these people, I work with the FBI, I work with the CIA, I've done all this stuff. And I'm like, so I asked the guy, right, the ASAC, Assistant Special Agent in Charge. I said, I've heard like this guy worked with you guys. And he went, bullshit, none of these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Why would they get in here unless they, we don't need to recruit. You're one of the few that got invited in,
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun. And, I got to help at a few things. I got to see how it really works. They talk about high stakes negotiation. We like to think we do high stakes. This is high stakes. Also taught me one other thing, then I'll shut up. The importance of role playing when you're going to do exercises and things. Because out of the 3 weeks we were there, it was constant doing role play. Right. And his real situation, we can't do some of it. So if you were like in the training and there's a bank robbery and they got hostages, come on, you're going to be the negotiator, Conor, come on. And you go to this part of the campus, there's a bank. It is set up for real.
Right, okay.
They had a bank, they had grocery stores, they had an airplane.
So proper,
we had to work. Yeah.
High level simulation.
Yeah. So it's like, I was like a kid in a candy store.
without the stress of someone being shot.
Yeah. Whoops, we lost that one.
What for the NLP people watching, are you able to share an idea of what they were really looking for from you and what you were able to give them that they didn't have already in their repertoire?
Well, they were looking for like some ideas on how to get people to relax a little more quickly. Because they're, if you're talking to somebody that's in a hostage kind of situation, they're under a lot of stress, right? And so, I saw what they did, which was pretty cool. One of the things is they never lie, right? They really don't lie when they're talking. If you had hostages, right? Because I want an airplane and $1 million and that. They'd always say, Conor, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we've heard it on the movies, right? Like, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
But it's like what we could do and this and that, right? And also too, just an aside, what the movies got wrong, the negotiator's never in charge. It's the SWAT team commander.
Ah, interesting.
And they switched negotiators out. And what I ended up doing was I was the coach of the negotiators. And I'd say like, maybe it's time to pull Conor out. He's getting too close. Right. And so
was this only in simulation or were you
a
called
couple
out?
of real ones down here in Florida? It's kind of fun to watch. And it was cool because the other interesting thing was the professionalism of it. So if you were the negotiator and they tapped you on the shoulder and like gave you the signal that you were going to be replaced, you just say, hey, well, I hate to do this to you, but Joe here is going to step in for me. And you just switch out, right? And they don't get their panties in a bunch. They don't get all upset, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get, if you're trained in the clinical side, countertransference. And that's they would talk a lot about getting too close to the
because
situation.
the negotiation could take like hours, days, like weeks,
Yeah, we got to watch there was this thing here. It was in Waco, Texas. Went on forever. And we got to watch the videos and hear the audios a little bit every day of what was going on. And
Waco, I remember, excuse me, I remember that. I don't remember who it was, but I remember Waco, Texas. That they made was that in the 90s? Was that in the 90s?
Yeah. And they ended up storming the facility, burning it down, like 26 people and kids got killed. It was not a good day. Right. But if you heard the whole thing, you're like, okay, I see how this happened.
You could plot it back once you had the end result. You could
debrief
how it
from
ended
it.
up that way.
Yeah. And they're big on debriefing when it's over.
Yeah. So that did you have to keep it cool? Were you like, I've seen Police Academy, the movies. If you remember those movies from when they
I was kind of like those guys.
Yeah. Okay. Fascinating. So let's go back a bit. You got in, like, you were in the military background. You then studied psychology, and then what from psychology to NLP? What was the bridge?
It's actually the opposite. You know, I got out of the Army and wanted to be an actor. Had no desire to ever do any of this kind of stuff. Psychology, I didn't want to do it, right? But I personally had an addiction that I couldn't beat, alcohol. And I had someone work with me, which, knowing what I know now, they use some NLP techniques and some hypnosis, and it flipped the triggers in my brain. So all the stuff I was doing, the AA program, the outpatient therapy, the stuff that I'm still active in AA, it made sense to me. And I'm like, why aren't we learning this? So then I started taking classes. And back then, it was easier to find trainings on NLP for sales and business than it was. Remember, this is way before the internet, so there was no Googling anything, right? And so I started taking those classes. And then I found some trainings in the Chicago area and started taking them. And it wasn't until a few years later, I took psychology class. I had a theater degree. I went back and had a theater degree and was still acting, but I went back because I had the ability for the government to pay for my education. Right?
Yeah.
So I went back to school and got my doctorate in clinical psychology.
It just sounds like there's an alarm going off on a phone or something like that. I can hear a vibration.
Oh,
there we go. There we go. That's.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're right.
Bad, Ubu, bad.
Yeah. So you did a few. You got a few feathers in your cap. And what the NLP was around the early 80s, right?
Yeah, mid to early 80s.
And offline, that was like way before even curriculum was properly structured.
Oh, yeah. It was like the original trainings. They were a few days depending on the trainers. First one that was kind of organized I got exposed to was NLP Comprehensive, right? Which was Bandler, Stephen, Connie Ray Andreas. Diltz was involved. And a few others. It was a lot of, my favorite was a guy named David Gordon. Nobody remembers. And it was some really cool stuff. And you'd go in on the weekend and you had no idea what the person was going to teach till they taught it.
Like there's no curriculum. There was
no curriculum.
What you were just told, I'm going to be learning some mind hack tricks.
Yeah. And it was like cool. It was fun. It was cutting edge. It was
Cal and I are making NLP cool again. So we're bringing the 80s back.
Well, I could tell you why too. It's like, so then it became a business. It became more business-like. And then there was no basic master trainer. If they liked you, if you were helping out, if you were going to training, they said, Conor, hey, how would you like to help out at the next training? Yeah. And so that was the master, by the way. That's how you learn that. And if they really liked you, they'd say, they'd just say, oh, hey, next weekend when we're teaching, we want you to do Saturday morning. That's kind of, it was like, but there was something, it was like improv theater.
Yeah. That's exactly when I first got into the field. That's how it was. Like Tad would say, so-and-so, you're teaching a couple segments during this training. And it was done on the fly. There was no structure. And it was like, after a while, they just became master trainers.
Yeah. And it was, and this was, of course, after the breakup of Bandler and Grinder, which still cracks me up. The two best negotiators in the world have not spoken other than through attorneys since 1981. And I understand why. It's all about money. But, I got into it. And like you say, you want to make NLP cool again. I think that's a great idea. Here's where I think it went wrong. As it started to grow. And again, you got to go, and you can remember some of this. When it got into the 90s, the trainings got longer.
Yeah.
From 6-7 days, 14 days. Then they got up to I remember one was a 30-day.
In Europe, there's one in particular, there's an organization like in the Netherlands that does 21-day NLP practitioner trainings.
And I think it also coincided when businesses would let you take time off and go to those kind of things.
Yeah.
I imagine now in most parts of the world, you go to your boss saying, boss, I want to take 28 days to go do this training. You know,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't work. So it got bigger and bigger. So then I think is where it got off kilter. It got too structured.
This is really fascinating. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And what I see happen, those old NLP guys, Bandler, Grinder, and you've talked to Dilts, and have you had Bandler on yet?
We haven't had Banner. We've had Puslik. We had Frank on.
Okay. They're
we've had Connie. Hey,
they're fun. They're moving. Yeah.
Yeah. We had Connie Ray on as well. Connie Ray Andreas on.
Oh yeah, she's
lovely.
Yeah. I love her. She shits and giggles. And you know, and so there's that attitude. But as it grew, then it became so structured because they were also appealing to corporate world, which wants a detailed outline and all this other stuff. And then here's where it really went to the crapper, as I would say.
All right, let's go.
The guys that became trainers started wanting to be college professors. They became very droll, very like, I got so much information. I'm going to prove to you how smart I am. And there was none of that, like flying by the seat of your
X
pants.
Factor.
I remember I saw one guy I'm like, well, he's teaching some cool stuff, but Jesus, this is boring.
Yeah.
You know? And again, you go back to especially Bandler when he was the big instrument driving and everything. He's a musician. He thinks in terms of music. He'll still tell you that. Like you take it up to a crescendo, you bring it back down, you bring it back up. And the perfect example of that is if you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event or
I was gonna bring up Tony. I'm glad you did.
It's a show. It is a show.
Yeah.
And people remember, and this is where NLP got off. It got into information like a college degree. Those of us with degrees will tell you it's somewhere back there. I don't use it. They won't remember the information. They will always remember the experience and the feeling you gave them.
Always.
And that's where like people make fun. Some of the NLP people make fun of Tony Robbins. I always default to, I don't know. He still gets 8,000 people in a room.
He did an online event and he gets like 1 million people on this like 3 days. Unleashed 26 or whatever it was. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yes, the certification standards. And I see where you're going with that.
And it's like when I first started doing the truncated trainings again, I'm like, and it was forced on me because I was supposed to do a training. They said, we need you to cut it down to like 4 or 5 days. I'm like, because I was thinking 12 days. And the guy looked at me. His name was Elsa Meldress. He's since passed on. He helped put together the National Guild of Hypnotists. He goes, I thought NLP was all about making things faster, quicker, and more effective. I guess that's not true, huh? and it made me pull back. Plus, everybody I was teaching was hypnotists. So I went in and I could tell you the nasty letters I got.
Because you made the NLP training how long? How long you brought it down to 5 days? And look back in the was that in the 80s or in the 90s?
It was in the 90s. Oh yeah, I got letters from everybody, including your old mentor. He's like, you can't do that. I said, no, you can't do it. I'm doing it. That's it.
So I'm really glad you brought this up. In terms, we normally talk about this towards the end, but so you were talking about the fun days and people remember the experience, not necessarily the information. Does that mean teaching trainers of NLP where's the line between not teaching enough so that they walk out with nothing and only an experience versus teaching enough and they get the experience and they walk out with something tangible that they can apply in their business or their practice straight away? Have you got that sweet spot nailed?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, give them the tools that they could use, that they're really going to use in the real world, not this theoretical, spending 2 days on dissecting sentences, and doing the stuff that I've seen people do. It's like, nobody's going to do that, right? It's got to be, you need more of a handbook approach, not a textbook approach.
Yeah.
And, and again, you got to judge, and again, we could default to Mr. Robbins. One thing he figured out early, because he was doing regular NLP trainings when he first
was he around learning NLP when you were
a
around
little
learning
bit
NLP?
before me.
Right. Okay.
And don't forget, the other thing he had that none of us had, he worked for Jim Rohn. Right?
Yeah.
So he knew how to do a seminar and fill the back end and do the, most of us went in just doing stuff, but he had a thing. But he figured out early, after he did a few NLP trainings, he figured out early, most of the people in a room, like a basic level, even a master, sometimes even trainers, they're never going to do this for a living. They're there for the experience. And and that's, you go to a Tony event, he knows that. He's got thousands of people in the room, and most of them are there to make a personal change. Right. And I see that even in the basic practitioner, master practitioner, sometimes trainers, people just, it's cool information. So, and so you got to give them just the, so that's what I did. I went back military model. It's like, when America went to World War II, they took the basic training from whatever it was, from 90 to 120 days down to about 45 days. What do we need? Sure. What do we need you to do to get on the battlefield? Well, you need how to shoot. You need how to take orders. You need how to march. You need how to take care of your gear. That's it. You don't need, all
the other stuff.
All the other stuff, right? So that's kind of what I did. So I just kind of, I broke it down to like, what do I think people need? And then build on it and build on it and build on it, and then leave it there.
And you mentioned at the beginning, learning. So the basics are important. Like you feel the foundational skills are important. And where have you taken it? So you teach the foundations, and then what do you teach on top of that? Like what's your niche is such a wrong word, but what's your special secret sauce in how you teach NLP?
In the 90s, I started really looking at waking hypnosis, not Ericksonian crap, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of it. Some of the stuff I see, like one guy claims if Erickson was alive, I would be his heir apparent. And I'm like, you haven't read the history. You're not a psychiatrist. He would never train you. Yeah. Which also leads to the fact that, contrary to what some people argue, Bandler and Grender did not spend days with Milton Erickson. Right? He wouldn't train you unless you were a licensed mental health professional.
Because
you look at what's the guy that wrote a couple books with Rossi. He wrote a couple books with Bandler, or no, with Milton Erickson. But anyway, so it's like, I started really looking at like what works. What is this hypnotic language? Kind of like, not just telling stories, but what is the structure of it? So, like magic words, what I call personal trance words, which now we know is called, values elicitation. If I know what your values are and I plug those words in,
keywords,
And so, like one of the things I try to do different, especially when I'm training trainers, is from day one, your language should be waking hypnosis front to back. It should be loaded with NLP. You should be doing it to your audience all the time at every level, basic, master, trainer.
Waking hypnosis. So that could be a new term that many viewers are hearing for the first time.
Well, naturally, as you think about the power of waking hypnosis, you can look to the future and wonder, could I use this? And then, of course, you'll look to the past and realize, it's always been there. The good the good speakers, the Obamas, the Bill Clintons, the other great speakers, Churchill, their language pattern, right? What was that? So as you begin to master that, you realize you could become that person in the future if you know how to do this now.
Nice.
That's a waking hypnosis pattern.
Yeah.
Right?
and would you say is that what, because Callum and I are, as you know, one of our favorite quotes is a rising tide lifts all boats. And we want to be the tide. We want to be the next, like the tide, not the next tide, but we want to be a tide in the NLP industry that lifts everyone in the NLP industry. And we believe that everyone needs to learn call it NLP. Bloody, it's in every boardroom, every seminar room, every corporate training. most of it has the roots are based around NLP concepts. So call it NLP, and bring your own little element or your own little flavor to it, but teach the basics. Don't call it something else. Don't water it down. Just teach the basics properly. And we were talking offline. It's like maths. You can have a calculator, you can have Excel, but unless you know how to count, you still need to learn how to count. You still need to learn what addition and arithmetic and multiplication and division is. You need the basics, and then you can go crazy.
Yeah, once you get that in your head, it's like, you know, and you at probably Australia, your Navy's good. All the naval officers have to learn how to read a sextant and guide by the stars, because if GPS goes on, same with Ranger training. I remember that everything was a compass and a map.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you, and you know, like they'd say, I'm a guy now, you know, a person I know just retired from the military, said they'd look at you and say, because somebody say, you know, why do I need this, Sergeant? You know, we got the GPS. Because what if you don't have it? Right? If you don't know how to read the stars and use your compass, you know.
And if all you learn is what it is, you have no idea how to create anything of your own in the future.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, like I structure my trainings to start with like a lot of the basics, but I start with rapport skills and then build into, you know, a little bit of values and strategies. You know, why do people do what they do? And I think I do that because that gets people interested, you know, I mean, at a different level. It's like, so why do you do that? Right. And I always try to end the first day right before lunch. Right. And I go, so we're going to go to lunch. Let me tell you how strategy works, Mr. Conor. We're about to go to lunch. How do you decide what you're going to have for lunch? Wait a minute. Let's back up. How do you decide where you're going to eat? Did you bring your food? Or if you're going to go, right? And so when you get to the restaurant, do you look at the entire menu? Or do you ask the waiter, waitress, what's good? Do you ask your friends what they're having? That's a perfect lead in to how people really make decisions, right? And then I say, now go test it, you know? And so that's kind of fun.
So 43, 42 years, 40, 82,
40 something.
40 something, 44 years.
Don't make me feel old.
No, you've earned that. Because I haven't been in the industry for that long, but 23, 24 years. And even in that time, I've seen cycles. Could you explain some of the cycles you've seen in terms of the NLP industry come and go? Maybe with demand, popularity, or whatever it is, but the cycles.
Yeah, the first was probably when the 90s started to explode. And, you know, Tony Robbins got big. Of course, your mentor, when timeline therapy kicked off, people were interested. And so, but then like I said, the trainings got bigger and more profitable, which leads, honestly, you bring people in that just wanted easy money. Right. And, you know, and that's kind of what happened. And then, of course, when the corporates cut back and
was that around the GFC, or are we talking before then? Like even the Enron, was it Enron? Wasn't like in the late 90s or something?
Money started tightening up. And so people were, you know, in probably all over the world, not just the States, but even if you could get a month off, in the back of your mind, if you work for a company, you're thinking, am I going to come back and my desk has been changed?
Yeah, okay.
Because the boss figures out they didn't need you for 30 days.
So they don't need you for the next 365.
Yeah. So there's that, right? So the people that came in with the easy money, and they kind of tainted the industry a little bit. They were the ones that we're seeing it now with the internet, which that'll come up later, right? And then, like you mentioned it too, everybody wanted to rebrand it. You know, I've got the secret sauce.
What time are we still in the 90s? Or are we moving into 2000?
We're going into the 2000s. Everybody started rebranding it, and I know this has happened to you. And okay, cool. I'll come listen to what you got and you listen to it. And you're like, there's nothing really new. It's a cool take, you know. I think the people I've seen really succeed added their own little secret. Like for years, my big thing was helping people with addictions. obviously. It's what, you know,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, alcohol and drug treatment centers, all the stuff like that, right? Other people got into the marketing side. Tad went down the timeline therapy route, right? He'd still do the basics, but it was like, okay, and he would separate it a little bit. It wasn't buried inside it, right? And so I think that diluted the art, shall we say. And people lost the basics, right? You ever watch a good MMA fighter, their basics are great. The front kicks, the side kicks, their grappling skills. You know, it's like too many of people got in NLP and I just want to learn a spinning back kick. I want to learn, you know, like waking hypnosis and getting people, of course, I wrote a book called that, getting people to do what you want, have them think it was their idea. But it's like, it's easier if you know the basics and build on it. And so we got away from that. So now I think we're at this, you know, it's like they say about a lot of music, fashion, what's old is new again. And it's making a comeback.
Yeah. Yeah. We feel that as well.
So, and there's certain people that want to make it cool again.
Yeah, well, that was a joke. Callum just put it up saying as a joke, because we teach all of our clients and all of our community members, you have to stand for something. And at the beginning of the year, we're like, you know what, we're gonna really put our energy and effort back into growing the NLP market. And we stood, and that's what we're going to be standing for. We're going to make NLP cool again. And it was a bit of a joke.
The other thing, I got to throw this in. The other thing that kind of tainted NLP a little bit going 90s, early 2000s is everybody saying they were a doctor. Right? Which without being one, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like some states, I don't know about Australia, but some states, Florida's one. If I say I'm Dr. Will Horton, I have a license. That's the judgment, right? And if I didn't have a license, I'd say, well, I'm a doctor of metaphysics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is okay, but it's like,
or philosophy.
And that's what burned like some of the professional world, the psychologists, social workers, licensed mental health counselors.
Because
they'd come in and see this person and go, I don't think this guy could spell psychologist, let alone be one.
It's a bit of a Wild West. And there probably opens up the discussion about the regulations. And, you know, on one part, we want to have it deregulated, but on the other part,
I want to deregulate. I don't like
not having.
regulation.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
The hoops I have to jump through to keep my license is outrageous.
I bet, and it would destroy, in my opinion, a lot of the creativity from people who have creativity in the market. So coming back to making NLP cool again, we did it as a joke. We ran a webinar. There was about 120 NLP trainers around the world who registered, and then someone said you should make a T-shirt, and then Callum made some AI generated images of him and myself wearing these T-shirts, and then people were like, "Oh, where do I buy one?" And then we're like, "All right, well." So we don't take orders, and we're not making anything on it. It's just to bring some sort of energy, some fun back to it all, and a bit of a movement. By the way, plug, if you want to buy an NLP, Make NLP Cool Again T-shirt, I'll put the link in the chat in these comments here.
Oh, cool.
So that's our mission. That's what we're doing, and there has been a lot of, you know, the guys who've been around for a long time. You know, like you said at the very beginning, Banner and Grin haven't even spoken since 1982 or thereabouts, and NLP just had its 50th year anniversary. So that's a long time to have, you know, mum and dad fight at the top and not even talk. So of course that's going to be projection coming down. That's going to flow down the river. In some way, we some sort of resolution, some sort of bringing everything back. We feel is that's the direction that it needs to go in, because there's so much value in NLP, and it is in every element, every area of our lives. Whether psychologists use it as NLP or they learn the skills and then apply it in their psychology practice, it's everywhere. It's just had an interesting detour over the last and you a few years, and the online training and the online delivery and when COVID hit, you were about to mention something about that. What was that?
Well, and then and then what happened, like you say, with the explosion of the internet, which is the great democratization, I can never say that word, where stuff gets cheaper, right? Because, you know, if I record it, I can sell it $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And you know that there's a guy out there selling for $7, you'll be an NLP, a hypnotist, and a coach, right? And somebody sent me some of his stuff. The training's not bad. I won't make fun, you know, it's like, but it's like, so there's that, right? And I don't know, I started doing stuff online in 2014.
Yeah.
And it was with GoToMeeting. That's how old I am, right? And so, you know, and then when COVID hit, it changed everything. But I think what the internet did was, again, like you say about you know, how many times somebody want to take a class, but then they'll say, but I can get this one for $97 over here, right? And you're like, and then honestly, you see people that, and I'll tell you my story, right? I was at a conference, right? Or for internet marketing. This goes back a long time. I'm like, I want to learn internet marketing. So I went to this conference.
That was when it was a subject, right? Internet marketing was one subject.
Yes. So
now it's like
how to build a website.
6 degrees.
Yeah. And so I'm like, cool, I'm getting into it. And I went up at the break to talk to the guys. They said, oh, this is great. And they go, well, what are you going to build? What do you want to do? I said, I'm an NLP trainer. I said, I want to do NLP. And they mentioned a person's name. I said, oh yeah, I know him. They go, and then they looked at the website I had and they go, oh, you must have been his student. And I went, and I had to bite my tongue. And for once I was professional, because what it was, this guy bought my home study course back when they were on VHS, and he duplicated it. He just, I mean, he was even telling my jokes and my stories. But then again, it's the law of recency. If that's the first person you met, and he's a great internet marketer, I won't name him, right? So you're going to assume I'm lying. It's like, and it's like, right? And so we see people do that. They'll get an idea, they'll teach a really cool course, and then you'll see it everywhere, other people teaching it, right? And it's just what happens, you know? I mean, my buzzword when I teach something, I go, you haven't seen this anywhere else yet because I haven't taught it yet. A week after I teach it, it'll be out there somewhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. This is exactly why we believe finding your blue ocean is so important. So what is it that's unique about you, yet you're still teaching a skill set that is taught in a number of other places? And that's where the value is. People pay for specialties. Your general practitioner in Australia, you pay $60 for a GP visit. And the government subsidizes some of it, but you pay $60, $80 for a regular general practitioner visit. You go to a specialist and you're paying $300, $500 a visit. People pay for the specialization. So the NLP trainers who are out there now, we're teaching them how to specialize, how to be a specialist in their field, and therefore the marketing tells the world that you're a specialist, and that's what people pay more for. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge for some.
Yeah, and you just got to keep. I mean, I still get calls from a lot of times people in our field that friends, family members, or themselves will call and say, I'm drinking too much. And I go to enough conferences, I could say, I've seen that.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, because that was my first big thing. And it's still what I do. What I'm kind of doing a lot now, as I was telling you earlier, is kind of spinning, if you're going to do training, how to make it more like a show.
Yeah, because, so let's unpack that. You talk a lot, like in the early days, you said it was fun. It was a lot of fun. The trainers were fun. In fact, someone's just commented here, a lady called Helen Cummins mentioned Sue's training is fun.
Oh, Sue Knight.
Sue Knight makes it fun, and she loves it.
She's old school. That's why.
Yeah. So how do we bottle that up and make it not bring that charm back into today's
it's like
training world?
And again, I think this is, you got to have the guts to be a character, right? Okay. Richard Bandler's a character. His character's changed. You know, now he wears the suits, but I mean, he was a character. John Grinder was a different character. You know, I mean, they they had the guts to be themselves. They didn't try to be college professors. I still stress that. And I see so many people, oh, I'm going to be a trainer now. You know, and so you got to have the guts to, like, because people want authenticity.
100%. Now, you say guts. Is that just people being okay with a bit of criticism and not being vanilla and you know, blending in with everyone? Now, being a tall poppy, being okay with
there could be all that. The fear of standing out. You know, imposter syndrome. I remember my first big training was at the National Guild of Hypnotists, one I had to truncate, right? And there were all these big names in hypnosis. And that's the other thing. When I first got started, hypnotists and NLPers did not talk. They were, you know, Tad was still alive. That's true. He blended them. But you know, I showed up at the National Guild and they're like, you know, here you are. But I was doing this hypnosis training. I had all these big names in that world in my room that I knew. And I had a little bit of a nervous breakdown before I started. I'm like, what can I teach these guys? Right. And then the way I've been trained, and this goes back to theater and acting, right? It's like, I remember the voice just went, shut up. It's a show. Take them on a ride. Right. And I'm like, okay, I'll think like a show. And then again, we were talking about Tony Robbins. It's a show. He knows how to take the peaks and flows. Tad was good at that. I never went to a live training, but I've seen him. I've seen his videos. It's like, okay, he takes you up. Right? So it's not this. And so, like, I try to show people, like, how do you think like a show? Like, if you're going to teach a multi-day training, it's broken down, obviously, AM, PM. But even in that, there's scenes. Think like a movie or a play. There's act 1, scene 1, act 1, scene 2, act 1. And each, whether it's an NLP technique, you got to run the like, take them on a peak, get them excited, then they go do it, and then you bring them back. And now they're at baseline.
In the rooms, when we hosted, we would have, like, you know, 80 people at a 7-day training, and sometimes we would have 20 coaching assistants with 80 students, like, huge. And it was a wave, and we would tell them, you got to watch the wave. You can feel the wave coming, the energy rising. And when the energy rises, that's when they buy. If the energy's low, don't sell anyone, because they're not going to buy. You got to wait for the wave to come in. And when the energy is high, that's when people are going to be looking for the next level. And that's when the energy of the room comes up, and then bang, the next segment is all auditory digital, and then the energy jumps way down. It's like a ballet. It's a musical experience.
And once you get that in your head, you get comfortable with it. It's like, oh, okay, you know. So think about the best movies you've ever seen, or theater person in the plays.
I'll be honest, in the early days when I because Tad would say a lot of things that would be polarizing. And I'd be like, oh, shit, you can't say that. And I'd get I'd fret in the back of the room. I was young. I was like 24. I was only new to the NLP industry. And I was like, oh, shit. But 2 days later, they're like, this has been the best experience. You know, they're walking out of the room. They're shaking their head. They're angry. They're saying, oh, you know, this is BS, blah, blah, blah. 2 days later, they're like, oh, this has been the most biggest breakthrough I've had in my entire life. And they have these deeper understandings. And then I realized that you have to bring the emotion out. If the emotion isn't there, then it's going to be just another university lecture that they forget. And coming back to what you said at the very beginning, it's the experience that they remember that actually makes them want to do more and has them use it in the future.
I'm trying to think of where I stole this statement, right? I try to give credit, but I can't remember it. It's like, you tell your truth, but then you show your proof.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, whatever your truth is your truth. But then if you're willing to share, this is why I believe this. You know? I can tell you what I broke from all the other NLP people was over addiction. You know? And I'm like, no, I don't. I remember I got thrown out of a room. I won't say who the trainer was, Richard Mandler. But I'm like, they were saying something. I said, this is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. I could take an alcoholic and get him to drink responsibly. And I'm like, excuse me. It's like, that's not true. I don't believe that. Show me your evidence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had no evidence. Right. And I still respect the guy. I love the guy. But, that's where I'm like, maybe I want to take it in a different direction. Right. And so, and again, I still make that statement, and people go, but you can't use hypnosis or NLP to fix an alcoholic or a drug addict in 1 or 2 sessions. I will argue that point till I die.
Yeah. And also the point that, and interesting, and I'm sure there's debate in some worlds, you can't, if you have an alcoholic, it's either on or off. You can't have medium. There's no gray. Because they're wired to just drink more. So is that what you're saying? So when you work with your clients or the people who train with you and they want to
get rid of an addiction, it's
complete off.
Yeah, and like I went and did all the research, got a certificate in neurology. The neurology is backing up what's been said for a long, long time. And there's a difference. You may just drink too much. If you just drink too much, 1 or 2 hypnosis sessions, you might be fine. But if
fine means drinking less, or fine means not drinking at all?
And this irks me to say, because for 25 years I would have argued this. No, you could, it has to do with, one day we should do a talk on this, the whole structure of addictions, right? But the people that just drink too much, right? Or smoke too much dope, if they go abstinent for a while, their brain resets. It has to do with the dopamine response triggers in your brain, right? But there are some of us that never resets. It is a binary choice. Either once it flips on, it's going to run its course, right? And again, that's not everybody that drink too much. You might go through a situation really quick, like I've done a lot with this. Guys, combat. They come back PTSD, so they're drinking too much. They're stressed out, right? They're self-medicating, right? Are they an alcoholic? We don't know. But if they readjust, right, and they can get back into society comfortably, they're the ones that, like 5 years later, they're normal. They can have a beer. They can go to a cookout. They can do this. But other people, it's not going to be that way. And you don't know until you try. That's the old, well, let's test it.
You know what? We're all different on the outside. We're absolutely all different on the inside. And there are some people who will go to the gym for 6 months and be ripped and have a 6-pack. And there are other people, and they could both be male. So I don't want to have the conversation about, that could be a male or a female. 2 males going, and one is just wired to grow muscle quicker than the other one. And that's maybe genetics, whatever it is, diet, but they're the cards that they have. And I would imagine with the alcohol, with the addiction, it would be like that. Some people can tone it down, and some people literally need to have nothing. They need to have nothing. Otherwise, they will be back on that wagon again.
Oh, yeah. And it's, a lot of the research, a lot of the research points out that, like, if you had trauma early in your life, you're much more prone to this. So the guys that go to combat never had any trauma. They may get messed up, but they don't have that underlying trauma. If they had trauma in their childhood, abusive spouse or abusive parents, alcoholism in the family, then they go and experience this stuff. They come back. It's a different response mechanism in the brain.
With trauma, is that relative?
Yeah, trauma is all personal. Everybody thinks it's got to be the something really traumatic. The physical abuse, sexual abuse, things like that. But everybody overlooks emotional abuse, right? You're a little kid and you don't get, your little Conor comes home, he's first grade, and the bullies were picking on him. He's crying. He feels bad. He comes in, right? He tells his mother, who's a great lady, right? And mom, this happened, that happened. But she's got a 1-year-old baby on her hip. She's worried about the bills. She just had a fight with your dad, all this other stuff. So they turn and look at you and go, just stop it. It's not that important. Or just
something like
for the
that.
moment. At that moment, that there's a deep learning that goes on. Like, my feelings aren't relevant. I'm never going to talk about problems again. So if you got kids, you're going to screw them up somehow. You no matter how.
Yeah, we have 3. In fact,
Yeah,
fact,
they're
my
beautiful.
eldest
You got a
turned
beautiful
12.
family. I've seen.
Yeah,
I've
thank
seen
you.
the pictures. Yes.
My eldest turned 12 today.
Oh, that's good
Yeah.
ages.
Yeah,
Yes.
great ages.
Yeah, my
The
my
last
daughter.
3-4 years have been magic.
My daughter's probably older than you,
All right.
but I got her to join the Navy at 18, so I did my job.
I don't think she wouldn't be older than. So no, I'm 46.
She's like 1 year younger than you.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, nice. So tell me about. You've mentioned the Guild of Hypnotherapy, the Guild
National
of
Guild of
Hypnotherapists.
Hypnotists. Yeah.
I've heard that name for a long time. Just briefly, how are you involved with the National Guild of Hypnotherapists, and it's quite a large hypnotherapy
The
organization?
largest hypnosis organization in the world. The American board came close, but they went through some structural issues, I guess, and things are changing. But I don't know. I'm not in that world. But the guild's been
Share some
around.
insights offline. Yeah.
Huh?
I'll
Yeah.
share some insights offline.
Yeah. So anyway, that happens. But the guild got started in the 50s, and it's been going ever since. It was kind of dormant for a long time. It kicked off in the 80s. I could give you that whole backstory, but it's like they have like 30,000 members worldwide.
Wow. Okay.
They have a conference this will be my 32nd or 33rd consecutive conference at the National Guild, right? They always have it the second weekend in August in New England, like Massachusetts or New Hampshire. And I've been involved with them because here's the story. The honest story was I wanted to do a firewalk, right? I've been in hypnosis and I just missed Tony Robbins doing a firewalk, right? In Chicago. I'm like, damn it. And then I get this flyer because I took a training from the guild, and they were doing the conference. And Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening before the conference, they were doing a firewalk for like $70. So I'm like, I signed up. I said, I'm going. And since I'm there, I'm going to stay for the conference. And I've been going every year since then. Right. And like I said, I was the only NLP guy at that first conference.
Back in the 80s, right?
Yeah. 80, 86, 87, something like that.
Oh, wow. Even that late, you were the only NLP guy.
Oh, yeah. The old hypnotists hated the NLPers.
Yeah. Okay.
And the NLPers, a lot of them didn't like the hypnotists.
Yeah.
It was weird. Now it's kind of, Tad did a lot to do it. I think I'll take some credit, did a lot because I show up at all these hypnosis conferences. And now you can't go to a hypnosis conference and not learn eye access and cues and, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, which back in the 80s, they didn't teach that in hypnosis training.
Just out of spite.
They didn't know about it.
I didn't know. Unconscious. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what's next for you, Will? I know is that a new book or did you write?
Well, yeah, I just did. I wrote a little book. See, I'll show it to everybody. And it's more like a handbook. It's only like 40 pages. It's like a field manual is what we would call it, right? And it's like how to really influence people like the CIA, the FBI does, right? Personality profiling, it's more like social personality profiling. Like we like to think it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Is it moving toward or away from? Is it big picture? Is it specific? That's like an X-ray.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
You get an insight. But if you want an MRI, you got to go to the next level, which is what really drives you. Are you there's like 6 or 7 basic personality types. And this is what they do and how they read people. And it changes everything. So that I just put together this little booklet.
Go on, plug, put it up. Let's have a look at it. So what's it called? Behind the Curtain, FBI, CIA Secrets.
Yeah. Psychological tactics of influence, deception detection, and behavioral profiling.
And who would want to buy this?
If you're into NLP, this is the next level. And I'm not saying like extra, but it's like it can be used in conjunction with everything else. Teach the basic, the visual VAK and all that. But what if you add the level of, so here's what really motivates people. Right? Are they motivated by, and again, I think the NLP world fell into we were talking about what went south. It got taken over by people that intelligence was their driving social factor. They wanted to be seen as smart, right? And so they'll do so one of the ways to feel smart is make everybody else feel less.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you know somebody went to Harvard? They tell you in the first 2 minutes you meet them.
I'll tell you. Yeah. There's someone right here. Beck May said, anyone dealing with a man. I'm not too sure what that means, but she said the book looks cool. So how can someone buy the book?
If they go to my website, Horton Psychology, HORTONPSYCH.
I'll just put it in the chat here, www.horton
psychology.com, and it'll pop up. I think it's on the landing page. If not, shoot me a message. I'll get you.
We'll find it.
So this is what I've been doing lately, and like I said about teaching, like how to do a training more like a show, because that's my two loves. And so I'm still doing.
So some of what you learned or what you found out working with the FBI, you've put into this book here. So anyone who's NLP trained can understand what on earth you did with them, and then what you've taken, where you've taken it from there.
And to be honest, the reason I didn't teach this for a long time was I met some of the best people in the world. You're one of them that are NLP and hypnosis. They want to help people. They want to do this, right? And to be honest with you, I met some of the most manipulative, narcissistic, self-aggrandizing people in our field. And so I teach the NLP. That gives you a skill set that few have. But I didn't want to teach the next level stuff, right? And then after the wars died down, a lot of guys retired from defense intelligence, CIA, FBI, and they started teaching it. And I didn't have an NDA, so I guess I could have taught it. But
who's that guy, Black Swan? What's his name? He's written a number of books, and the business name is Black Swan, and his name eludes me. But anyway, and
one's Chase Hughes. He's written a few books on it,
Right. Okay.
And it's so there's different, there's a guy from that was FBI. There's a couple CIA guys. And it's like, well, I'm just going to teach, like you say, my way, how I would, because I come from the NLP viewpoint.
Yeah. I think everyone should buy it. How much is it?
It's like, if you got the print, I think it's either $4.99 or $9.99. It's
nothing.
Cheap. The Kindle is only $2.99. I just want the info out there.
It's cool. Get the info. And you were saying about you again. We're sort of coming full circle with the fun. When you teach NLP, it's got to be fun. Now you actually incorporate stage the actor, because you're an actor. By the way, Will Horton is an actor. I see on your Facebook you have you've been on a movie finished up late last year, I think. A bit of a horror film. Was it a horror film?
I've done a lot of horror films. I played a CIA hitman in London a year ago. I got back into it. I always did theater. I never stopped doing theater, right? And I think that made my trainings different. I've noticed a lot of the good trainers have a background in performance.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes they were magicians or, comedians or something. A lot of magicians become great trainers. Right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm doing theater, and right now I'm directing a play, and I'm doing this other little trainers training thing. So I'm thinking like a director. It's like, how do you set the stage? How do you
with the training? So let's talk about the trainers training. Is it an NLP trainers training or just like anyone can join trainers training, and it's about how to handle or own or influence the stage using some of the theater work that you've done?
Yeah, what I'm doing right now is like an add-on to the basic NLP trainers training, where like a lot of the NLP trainers, I teach stage anchoring and marketing and how to take the basic techniques and put them to the group. Basic techniques 101. To me, the master level is knowing how to do it in trance, to do an NLP technique without doing an NLP technique. And the trainers training is to do it to a group. And take them on that journey.
Yeah. And the theatrics one is this how long?
That's like an add-on. It's like, now once you understand how to do basic trainer's training, now let's make it like a show.
Let's jazz it up a bit. And how many days is that one?
I'm doing it. It's going to be like 30 hours total. I'm doing it like
3 days or 4 days?
Yeah. Oh, no, over several days on Zoom.
Fantastic.
And I'm focused on how to teach Zoom because it's different with the camera versus the room. In
the room, for sure. And is it open for anyone, or do you have to be an NLP trainer in order to?
No, I think I got I got one guy in there that's a business guy. He does sales training.
All right, cool. Yeah.
And he was saying, oh yeah, even back in the day, what made, God, this is an old name, Zig Ziglar so popular.
Oh yeah, Zig Ziglar. I like some of his quotes.
It was a show.
Yeah.
You got to get a checkup from the neck up. You need an attitude adjustment. We did, but he made it fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And when's that coming up?
Well, we're about halfway through, but we're videotaping it. We're gonna clean it up and I'll pack it.
Brilliant. And can someone find that on the HortonPsychology.com, or is that on a different? All right. Okay, cool. So if you want the book, get the book. $2.99 for the Kindle, $10 for the hard copy. And
there's an Audible version. Of course, it's not my voice because I'm lazy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, not, but getting an Audible is just as easy. So get it, everyone. And if you want to learn and work with Will or find out about your current trainer's training, which will absolutely elevate your presentation skills and I guess give you some insights as to how you can make your audience. I used to say that. In fact, when I would sell trainers training, I'd say your audience is the orchestra and you are the conductor. And I used to use that analogy. Maybe I heard that analogy somewhere on some tape set somewhere, and then I started to use it as I sold NLP trainers training. Anyway,
sounds like a Bandler thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Get the book. The link is in the chat there. Will, you're in Florida. You're very big with your horses, so maybe you've got some horses to check out.
Go check out.
Yeah. Look, Cal and I absolutely love having you on. Big ball of energy, and you've got the history, but you've got the what was it? The something and the proof. The
tell your truth, show your proof.
Tell your truth, show your proof, and you've got both. And would love to have you back.
It's kind of like, would you trust a personal trainer that was fat and out of shape?
Yeah. Would you see a hypnotherapist quit smoking if the hypnotherapist was smoking themselves?
Well, that's always my joke.
Do you trust to think? Yeah.
I remember I opened a big conference. I was at a conference. I said, you know what I think is funny? We're at a big hypnosis conference. I see a lot of fat, chain-smoking hypnotists.
Well, Cal and I are planning something big for the NLP industry later on in the year, and would love for you to be a part of it.
I'd love to be.
Yeah.
Share the message. It saved my. I always say this. It didn't just save my life. It gave me a life worth living.
Beautiful final words. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
We'll see everyone soon. If you could stay on, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much for watching the Unplugged podcast with Callum and Connor from Connekt Coaching. Hope you loved this guest this week as much as we did. Cal?
What we wanted to remind you of is that if you wanted to steal our forever business model, which is perfect for all sorts of businesses around the world, to start to build extra revenue in your business right away, get instant access by clicking on the description and going into the link below, watching the 9-minute video where we unpack everything. See you next time.